Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Millionaire Maker Show. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to my next guest, Dr. Kelly Henry. Dr. Kelly, welcome to the show. So glad that you're here.
I appreciate that, Lindsay. Glad to be here. It's an honor to be here, actually.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about what you do?
Well, I am a business coach, and I focus on helping businesses scale and simplify their business organization. Basically, scaling is the process of gaining more by doing less instead of gaining more by doing more, and so we help businesses do that basically work through levels of complexity, make things more simplistic and simpler using the 80/20 rule, among other things, and help them really drive up profits, making things easier. And most often, or uh, generally, I can help the business owner take a lot of work off their plate and free up their time where they're not having to put so much time and effort into driving the business forward.
You're not just going to be able to rush over this 80/20 rule that you said that you really start implementing that with businesses. So, can you tell us a little bit about what that is there, Dr. Kelly?
Well, the 80/20 rule, the Pareto principle, more commonly known, is basically just looking at inputs and output. And it's understanding and having a idea and being cognizant of what efforts are we putting into the business that's creating the greatest impact? What marketing are we doing that's creating the greatest return on investment? What are my employees doing that is driving more profits and more productivity? And just taking that principle and looking at every level and every area of the business and seeing where these inputs create the greater output. And that most of the time helps to create a much simpler business when we understand that, hey, let's just focus on the things that are really going to drive this forward and help us out the most instead of working on this, and this, and this, and never looking at what the output is. Uh, Slim that down, trim that down, makes it a lot easier and simpler, like I said.
I love it. Tell me, so what does the 80 and the 20 represent? Just to be real clear on that.
Well, it can represent anything. And that's just a general 80/20 is just a general way of looking at it. It can be 90/10. It could be 60/40. The principle is 20% of our effort in certain things create 80% of our outcomes. And so why focus on the 80% of things that are only producing 20% of our outcomes? And a lot of times that's where businesses get stuck. They're putting too much time and effort into the 80% of things that are only creating the 20% of impact. So that's where I help to flip that script and let's really be cognizant of that, those inputs, the less inputs, the 20% of inputs that are creating that greater impact, that 80% of impact, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's a powerful principle. Like, if you are, as a business owner, especially with like the anxiety that comes with running a business and all the things to do, you can get really caught up in like the doing of all the different things and you feel very successful because you've done a lot of things. But if they're the wrong things, then when you go look at your bank account, then it doesn't really translate to money in the bank account if you're doing all the wrong things.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
being busy does not equate to being productive. It does not equate to being successful necessarily. And a lot of
Yeah.
people get that muddied and mixed up.
Yeah. So is there a certain kind of business that you help, or you're just a general business coach that can help anyone that are selling brick and mortar or t-shirts or anything? Who do you specialize in, Dr. Henry?
Uh, I'm not necessarily narrowed down into a specific industry. What I look for are businesses that have been established generally 5 years or more, that have a certain level of income, particularly between 500 to about 2 million in yearly revenue, and then have between 5 to 20 employees. I'm typically looking at owners or business executives that have their business is plateaued, so to speak. They've grown, they're established, but they're frustrated because they just can't get to that next level. They don't know what's going on to push things forward. And it's generally because they've just continued to grow, which is good, and got to a certain point. But again, they've added levels of complexity and really slowed the whole process down. So that's where we can go in and start, like I said, making things more simplistic streamlining, using the 80/20 rule to help them break through that ceiling that they, or that plateau that they've got themselves to.
What does that process look like? Is that just a series of conversations? Do you have a bunch of spreadsheets and videos to support that? What does that look like?
Well, it's a lot of conversations, to be honest with you, because every business is
Yeah.
different. The principles are the same, but every business is different in the sense that they have, uh, different problems or a host of similar problems. But this business is, leadership and the culture is rough. This business over here may be leadership, but the customer service or the marketing or sales issues in those pieces of their business. So it's just a lot of conversation. What I love about one on one and working with my clients is as we put pieces in place, it almost creates more problems in a sense that, okay, we're starting to work through this and things are starting to get easier, but then there's a whole set of other issues, so to speak. I shouldn't say problem, but there's new issues that we have to work through, and we can work through in real time and work forward through that. So that's what I love about one on one, because there's that constant, yeah, we've achieved through this level, this issue. Okay, the next, but this brought on these questions, or now we're dealing with this. And so it's constantly evolving, and it's like, you know, in a sense, it's always a new challenge, so to speak. But as profits are getting bigger and that margin is getting bigger and things are getting more simplistic, it's good. The owners can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but they know that they're going to have to keep working through some things to again push towards where they want that business to go.
Yeah, I always thumb that up as like new level, new devil. Like you
Yeah.
solve some problems, new obstacles are bound to show up. And so it's great to have someone like you on their team that can actually support them through these very specific obstacles that come up as they solve these other problems in their business.
I love that. New level, new
New
devil.
level, new
I'm gonna have to
devil.
use that.
Yeah,
I'm
feel
gonna have to
free to
swipe that
steal it,
from you.
Dr. Henry. Feel free to steal it. Okay. So tell me a little bit about why you started your coaching business.
Well, backstory is I'm a retired chiropractor, practiced for 20 years, built up two very successful practices. And then in 2018, I sold everything out, basically at my pinnacle. The thing that helped me get to where I was so successful is I've been coached for almost my whole career and still am being coached, to be honest with you. So, and I knew the impact that that had on my business and my personal life. So when I made that transition and retired from chiropractic, I knew there was something else I wanted to do, and I wasn't going to sit back and just play golf all the time. So, coaching seemed like a, great way to go, because I knew what it had done for me, and I still wanted to help people. So, that's why I transitioned into the coaching realm. Since 2018, it's evolved tremendously. We've known each other for a few years, and even in that short period of time, it's my coaching and my philosophy and my focus has evolved quite a bit in just that short amount of time. But I keep refining and keep getting more specific and learning and growing in my own abilities and my own coaching abilities and the processes and things I bring to the table. So that keeps me engaged, and then just gives me more tools in my tool chest to help my clients.
Yeah, as you get more and more experience, I always call, and I don't know if you resonate with this, but I always call my coaching business like the best personal development tool because of
Like,
exactly what you're saying. Like you're always like at supersonic mode. It feels like that you are personally growing, your business is growing, how you help your clients is growing, and it can be really different when you look back a year ago.
absolutely. So constant growth. My personal philosophy, and this is what I preach to my clients all the time, is you're either green and growing or ripe and rotting. So my
Oh, I like
philosophy
that.
for an awful long time, since the early 2000s, has just been green and growing. I'm not going to allow myself to be ripe and rotting. So I'm gonna stay up and learn and more and educate myself more and more, because I know that's just going to be able to allow me to help my clients at a higher level.
Yeah. Can you describe just an overview of your coaching business? Like, what is it that you offer, and how many hours a week does that take you? And just kind of what does your coaching business look like right now?
Obviously my philosophy is simplicity. So that's what I apply to my own business. I exclusively just do one-on-one.
Uh huh.
I did entertain some online programs, entry level programs for my clients, and then the group coaching. But um, personally, those just didn't move the needle enough for my clientele. So I just do specific one-on-one coaching. I have programs of 3, 6, and 12 months, and that'll vary the price point on those, obviously. And the 3 months is more of an entry level, and then the 6 months, 12 months is more of the long term, obviously. I do 4 calls a month, or once a week with my clients, hour-long calls, and then they have access to me 24/7 via email or text, depending on what's going on, if they need any additional help, or if we need to schedule a new call or either call in between calls, that's no big deal. I'm here to help them. One thing I do with my clients and my contracts is I call it a handshake. I do have my clients uh, sign a contract, a formal contract, but it is breakable if I'm not moving the needle, if I'm not helping, if we're just not making progress. I don't want my client to be locked in to a contract and continue to pay me, and they're not seeing any fruits from that. So that that doesn't look good on me, and I don't want that feeling for them. So if they decide, hey, this ain't working, we cut the cord, we part as friends, and move forward. So if I can't prove my worth, if I can't help them move forward, then then I shouldn't be paid, is how I look at it. So I allow that for my clients as we go through the contract.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. I do the same thing as well. I don't want to coach anybody that isn't in the mood to be coached or that doesn't find the value there. Was that a change you made in your business, or have you always done business that way?
I pretty much always done business that way, and I may have,
Yeah.
that may have been peaked from talking to you previously. Maybe I need to owe you a thank and gratitude and some credit for that. But again, in a world where it just seems like everyone's out to get everyone else, I don't want to be that guy. That's not what I'm about. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help. I'm here to uh, change lives. And that was my philosophy when I was in my chiropractic realm. I was here to serve my patients and help them live healthier lives. Well, I want to help serve my clients now and help them live healthier business lives, enjoy the fruits of their labor. So that's what I'm about. And if it's not working, then let's just part of friends and move on.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Tell me, so, as you talk about growing those 2 chiropractic businesses and you always having coaches along the way, but now you're there to kind of ease it, help others, as you said, reap the rewards of all of their labors, reap the fruits of their labors. Did you have a lot of pain growing those businesses, or because you had these coaches, like, have you cried the tears that many other entrepreneurs have cried, Dr. Henry?
I have.
Okay.
I've been there. I've been in the depths of despair. When I first started my chiropractic career, I felt like like a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, I can do it myself. And my first year of practice was rough. It was trying to scrape up enough money to go to Taco Bell after church on Sunday. I mean, that's about all we had to live on, and it had to live off a family to some degree for a period of time. Um, Even when I uh, got past that initial rough start and moved into where I bought a practice and was doing okay, I got to that point where I plateaued out and I just could not get it past a certain level. And that's when I entertained the thought of having a coach and hiring a coach. And as soon as I did that, that's what springboarded my whole career. And those coaches took me to a certain level, and then I realized, hey, I need a different coach to help me take it to a new level. And so through the years, I had several different chiropractic coaches, business coaches, along with personal coaches to help me through that. So, but yeah, uh, I owe a lot to my coaches through the years because that's I can look directly back to that period where I hired them and it put my business on a whole new trajectory.
Yeah, like I said, it's like really hard to be a professional chiropractor and a professional marketer and sales and business runner. Like there's just not enough time in the day to be a pro at all those things, and all of them require a certain level of expertise. So for me, it took me a good 5 years into my business before I realized. So congratulations for it being 1 year till you realized, okay, I actually need someone to help me here instead of trying to figure it out for myself.
Well, it was more than 1 year. It was about 4 years before.
Oh, okay.
One really
Let's get
rough
back to
year.
that.
I bought a practice, was doing okay, but then that was about 3 years into that before I realized, okay, I can't get this going any further. What do I need to do differently? So
Yeah.
there was a few
Yeah.
years of suffering there.
Yeah, plenty of suffering. And new level, new devil, right? It's not like the
Yeah,
suffering has ended. It's just easier now because you have some tools in your tool belt to get over these obstacles. That's how I view it.
absolutely. And obviously have some experience to look back on. And, that's what I tell my clients, and I'm sure you do too. Coaching is going to save you a whole lot of time, effort, and money. Because you're going to learn from my mistakes and draw on my experience. To be honest, when I first started chiropractic, I probably wouldn't have believed somebody telling me that I can do it. But,
Yeah. You're a smart
often,
chiropractor. Like, I made it
well,
through school.
exactly.
I can do this.
So, but what's funny is, and I'm sure you experience this too, but a lot of new business owners, they don't know enough to know what they don't know. It's, there's just not enough understanding there at all. And so often, the best experience or the best education is just a difficult time. And certainly was for me. But looking back, I'm not necessarily happy I went through that, but in some degree I am because I appreciate what I have so much more now than I probably would have if I hadn't gone through that troubled time. And I certainly wouldn't have hired coaches and whatnot if things were just super smooth and easy from the get go.
Yeah, and for me, it really allows me to be a more effective coach because I can really understand where my clients are and the kind of like, that they really want this thing to work and they really want to do what it takes to build this business. And so, because I can draw on my own experience of feeling that way and feeling like I needed help, I can really, empathize with my customers.
Absolutely. Me as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about how you are. Let's talk about marketing and sales. How are you currently finding your one-on-one clients? Do you mind sharing your secret marketing technology here?
Well, not necessarily secret, but I have a multifaceted approach. So,
Tell me.
a lot of LinkedIn, enjoy LinkedIn and use it quite a bit, and have garnered.
Hold on. Tell me what you're doing on LinkedIn. Get a little more specific for me, would you?
Well, I have platforms that help me to engage or make connections. It's all automated, and then do messaging to stimulate conversations, and then I take hold of that and I have basically a discovery call, if you will, where just sit down with a potential client or a lead, if you will, and just talk, where they're at, what they're looking for, and then just see if it's a good fit. If they want to entertain the thought of me helping them out. So I had some success with LinkedIn. I also do cold emailing. I know that's not a lot of people are against that, but it's worked for me. And I have a program by the name of Apollo.io and use it and send out a lot of emails every week. And again, it's kind of like the LinkedIn. It's automated, and then when somebody responds, then I just follow up and we move forward from that to entertain a conversation. I network locally, and that's garnered me several clients as well. I was involved in 3 networking groups, but I don't have enough time to maintain that, so I'm just involved in one and work that. And that's a great way to get local leads. I work with clients throughout the United States. So, obviously we do things remotely and Zoom calls and those type of things, but I love working with local clients. I live in Lubbock, Texas now. I think when you and
Yeah.
together, I was living in Dallas, so I've since moved. But the local clients are great. It gives me an opportunity to get out of my house or my home office, get to their offices, their clinics, their businesses, see what's going on, boots on the ground type situation. So I love doing that as well. Um, so those are my 3 main uh, prongs to my marketing approach at this point.
That's great. Tell me a little bit. Are you posting content on LinkedIn as well, or are you mostly just cold outreach and then doing conversations in the DMs?
I have a weekly newsletter that I put out. And it just gives me an opportunity to obviously post my contact, my philosophy, and things that are pertinent to obviously business owners, but also the way I look and approach business problems, if you will.
Great. That's great. And then the cold emailing, tell me, so where do those email address are they just getting scraped from chiropractic offices and stuff like that? And then you just have an initial email that you send? Can you expound a little bit on that strategy?
Well, Apollo IO has a built-in feature where you can scrape emails based on a search, similar to Sales Navigator in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so you're able to like you said, scrape that information, put it into a what they call a sequence, and then you can build out, a two, three, four, five email sequence, whatever you please. A/B test it, headlines, whatever you want to A/B test, obviously, and then just move forward with that. Um, I One side note, I don't necessarily work with chiropractors one on one. One thing I've done is a little backstory and side note here is the original coaches that I hired way back when to help me with my chiropractic office. I have been hired back by them to coach chiropractors. So that's
Oh,
why
okay.
I go to several of their what they call summits. They're basically seminars several times a year, and I have the opportunity to coach and give back to the chiropractic community in that regard. So I keep that segmented from my consulting, my coaching business, where I don't work with chiropractors because I'm involved through my through this other group in that regard.
So lots of I mean, you're bringing up relationships, like underlined exclamation points. Relationships are everything, and like really live in person events, getting to know people one on one. Like that really is a great way to get more clients and to build your coaching business. It sounds like that's what you're saying.
Absolutely. So, and in fact, some of the chiropractors I work with in the group, one in particular has sent me three, four clients that are patients of his. So, like you said,
That's
building those
great.
relationships and work in that regard. So,
And are you wanting to do group coaching, or are you just mostly like the transformation and the effect you can have people on one?
it's on the radar, but I just love the one-on-one interaction.
Yeah, it sounds like you can get really
Again, I
good
just
results
feel
for
like I
people.
can move the needle so much more effectively from a one-on-one point of view and working very intimately with these clients. So
Makes sense, makes sense. Do you mind just outlining I'm gonna touch on the Apollo thing one more time, the
sure.
cold emailing. So, do you send a series of 3 emails? Like, what do they say? What are you offering, like, a blog post? Are you offering your calendar? Like, just briefly outline those 3 emails for us. Right.
Calendar, jump on a quick discovery call. I have them subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter. That's
Makes
part of
sense.
some of them that I've sent out. Um, trying to think what I've sent out. All kinds of different things. Just trying to hit hot points from particular industries, particular um, things that what what most business owners are looking at. Obviously they all want money, so we'll hit on that. Uh, Staff turnover and issues is always a problem. Um, Burnout, working more, gaining less, or not even, or gaining less, or just staying at that same level. We'll hit on that. So those are all the topics that generally get the highest open rate and request for at least to talk to me and some, or at least starting that conversation to look at and possibly setting up a call with.
Makes sense. 3 solid strategies: a LinkedIn reach out, cold emailing, and then attending live networking events and improving on those relationships. Great.
Absolutely.
All right, so here's my next question for you, which is, what is one thing here you are, okay, veteran expert, now you've been a business coach for a really long time, you ran those 2 businesses for a really long time. What is one thing you wish you would have known before you started all of this?
That is a good question. As far as building my
Building a
own business,
business. Yeah, like, what do we need to know? What do you wish you would have known 30 years
uh,
ago?
well, I mean, tooting our horns, it's just invaluable to have a coach uh,
Yes.
and to get a coach as soon as possible. I'm an avid golfer. I have a swing coach. I've done Toastmasters to help with my speaking abilities. And some I bring up to, especially my networking groups or people that are potential clients. I, ask them, if they have kids or when they were kids, did they play sports or were in band? Well, did you have a coach in sports? Did you have a band director? Was somebody teaching you and coaching you? Yeah, yeah. Well, wouldn't it be crazy if you didn't have a coach for your kid's team? If you just let them run out there and just do whatever they want, wouldn't that be kind of nuts? Well, yeah. Well, it's kind of nuts when you're a business owner and just kind of shooting from the hip and not really knowing, you know, grasping new ideas or, throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks or chasing shiny objects. I don't know everything, but I do have a certain amount of experience that can help people move forward in a much more efficient, profitable, less frustrating manner. So, um, having somebody coach you and having that somebody outside of the emotions of running a business to help you see a better direction is just invaluable.
I love that. I love how you brought it back to like we'll drop money for a kids coach all the time. In fact, it's even like expected, but then all of a sudden as an adult, we're supposed to know all of these things, which the problems are probably even more complicated up here in adult land. So you definitely like not losing not losing the need for a coach or seeking out coaches to really help you get to where you're going. I love that message.
Again, it feels pretty self-serving and tooting our own horns here, but again, we've seen the impact, and it's just invaluable. It's just the way it is, and I can say that from experience because I know what happened when I hired my first coach. Again,
Agreed.
the level of success I achieved is directly attributed to them.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, Dr. Henry, it's been a true pleasure interviewing you on this episode of the podcast. Let me turn the time over to you. How do people find you and anything else you want the audience to know?
Uh, they can find me at my website, bizprofitboost.com, B-I-Z, profitboost.com. Check out my resources. I do have a free download. It's a book on how to increase your profits. So you can certainly go there and grab that. And you can schedule a call with me, discovery call if you would like. If you'd like to reach out directly, Dr. Kell at bizprofitboost.com. Feel free to email me directly. I'd be more than happy to communicate with you and see where you're at, where your business is at, and if moving forward with me would make sense. Um, as you know, Lindsay, I have a passion for customer service. To me, that's
Yes.
a huge foundational piece of any business and business success in general. I did author a book a couple years ago, Define and Deliver Exceptional Customer Service. Very simple, easy to read. In my philosophy and most everything I do is simplicity. So this book's only about 150 pages long. It's full of just simple, actionable ideas that any business can put into place fairly efficiently, and that can create that extra perception, that better perception, that exceptional perception of incredible customer service in their business, which will do any business a lot of good. So you can find that book on Amazon, and I have the hard copy, the paperback copy, an audible copy, and a digital copy for those who like to read off their tablets, which most of us do, I think. So again,
Yeah.
define and deliver exceptional customer service, and you can find that on Amazon.
Congratulations on the book. Looks
Thank you.
fantastic. Awesome. Well, thanks, Dr. Henry, for joining us as a guest on the show. It's been a real pleasure having you.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, Lindsay. Thank you for having me.